Attention passionate Green Bay Packers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Green Bay Packers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Green Bay Packers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Green Bay Packers fans. Let's get to the news now, guys. Hold on to your hats because what I'm about to tell you could be one of the most game-changing rumors we've seen in recent NFL history. It's all about Derwin James, the all-pro safety from the Los Angeles Chargers, potentially heading to Green Bay. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just some speculation. It's gaining serious traction, and if it happens, it could drastically reshape the landscape of the NFC North and honestly the entire NFC as we know it. So let's break this down, analyze the impact, and see what it means for the Green Bay Packers moving forward. First of all, for those of you who might not be as familiar with Derwin James, he's a 29-year-old defensive chameleon. Think of him as a modern-day Ed Reed, an absolute playmaker with the versatility to do it all. Whether blitzing the quarterback, covering the deepest routes, or coming up to make a tackle in the run game, James is a nightmare for offenses. In 2025, despite missing some time due to a minor hamstring injury in Week 3, he's been outstanding. In just 8 games, he's already accumulated 62 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 5 sacks. His PFF grade hovers around 88.9, which is elite, and his EPA per coverage sits at -0.26. That indicates he's not just making plays, he's actively reducing the expected points against the Chargers' defense. And let's talk about his career for a moment because the numbers are staggering. Over his entire NFL journey, James has tallied over 400 tackles and 15 interceptions. He's a dynamic force on the back end, and the Chargers are currently in a rebuild mode, especially on the offensive line and defense, which is why they might be more open to trading such a valuable asset. They have a 4-4 record, and with a cap space of around $96 million, they're looking to rebuild, acquire draft picks, and shift their focus to the future. But that's where the Green Bay Packers come into the picture because they're sitting at 5-1-1 with about $9 million in cap space, and what they need right now is a versatile, proven safety who can elevate the entire secondary. Now that's where it gets really interesting. Imagine a defense with James and the likes of Adrian Amos or even a potential upgrade at the safety position. James's presence would be a massive boost, not just in tackles, but in creating turnovers. Currently, the Packers are averaging around 1.5 turnovers per game, and adding a player like James could push that number significantly higher. His min-reply's success rate in tackling is around 82%, and his ability to generate pressure through blitzing, about 35% of the time, adds another layer of complexity for offenses. Plus, his yard after catch allowed is just 3.5 yards, which shows how well he can close down space and prevent big gains. Let's not forget, the Chargers, despite their rebuild, are ceding some ground in the back end. Their secondary has been exposed at times, allowing an average of 220 passing yards per game. That's a weakness that a player of James's caliber could exploit if he joins the Packers. Now, the trade itself is quite interesting. Reports suggest the Chargers would accept a second-round pick in the 2026 draft. That's a relatively reasonable price for a player of James's talent, especially given the current NFL market where safeties of his caliber are rare and highly coveted. So what would James bring to Green Bay? First, an immediate upgrade in tackling and coverage. His projected stats with the Packers include around 70 more tackles over the season, 5 additional interceptions, and a bump in PFF secondary grades by about 7 3-points. When paired with someone like Darnell Savage, or even a rising star like Jonathan Owens, James could form a duo that's reminiscent of the Honey Badger era, dynamic, aggressive, and unpredictable. His presence alone could elevate the entire defense, creating more turnovers, setting up the offense with better field position, and ultimately reducing the points allowed per game from 19 to around 14 or even lower. And you know what makes this even more appealing for the Packers? The potential impact they could have come playoff time. According to projections, adding James could increase their Super Bowl odds from +1,800 to +900, a huge jump, especially in a league where a single player can be the X factor. Think about the kind of difference he'd make against high-powered offenses like the Chiefs or even in the NFC Championship against teams like the 49ers or Eagles. His ability to blitz, combined with his coverage skills, could be a nightmare for quarterbacks, and that kind of pressure cooker environment is exactly what the Packers need to finally get over the hump. Now, I know some Chargers fans might be a bit skeptical about trading away a player like James. Their defense is currently giving up 25 points per game, and their offensive line is still a work in progress with a PFF grade of 72. Two, they're prioritizing draft picks and rebuilding, but that comes at a cost. They're losing a player who can be a franchise cornerstone, and the depth in their secondary might take a hit. For the Packers, on the other hand, this is about seizing an opportunity. Their secondary has been exposed at times due to injuries, with corners and safeties battling through the season. Adding James would fill a crucial gap, making their defense much more formidable and versatile. If this trade goes through, what's the real impact? Well, for starters, James could be projected to rack up around 70 tackles just in the remainder of the season, plus about 5 interceptions, which would be a huge boost. His addition would lift the PFF secondary grade by around 7 points, making the entire unit more cohesive and aggressive. When combined with the talents already on the roster, this duo or trio at safety could be as impactful as the legendary Honey Badger's presence was during his prime. They'd be a nightmare for quarterbacks, especially in crucial moments, increasing turnovers, potentially +9 over the season, and dropping opposing QB ratings by around 10 points. And let's talk about the big picture here. If James joins the Packers, their defense instantly becomes one of the most versatile and dangerous units in the league. His blitz pressure rate of 35% and his ability to prevent yards after catch, allowing just 3-5 yards, make him a true difference maker. This allows the Packers to shift from a decent defense to an elite one, and that's exactly what they've been lacking. Remember, the Packers are currently 5-1-1, a strong record, but they're hungry for consistency and a real shot at the Super Bowl. Adding a player like James could turn their aspirations into a reality, especially considering their improved odds, jumping from +1,800 to +900, which makes them much more serious contenders. Now, imagining the impact on their playoff run is exhilarating. With James, the Packers could be looking at a 23% increase in their chances of beating top teams like the Chiefs. And the kind of versatility he brings is comparable to some of the most legendary safeties in NFL history. Think Troy Polamalu or Earl Thomas, players who could change the course of a game with a single play. His ability to cover, blitz, and make game-changing plays aligns perfectly with the Packers' current needs, especially as they look to finally reach the Super Bowl again after a few lean seasons. Of course, everything hinges on the trade and the Chargers' willingness to part with him for a second-round pick. But if this happens, it's a statement move by the Packers, signaling that they're not just content with competing, they want to dominate. It's a bold move, yes, but one that could define their season and even their franchise's future. Imagine the energy and confidence this would give the team, knowing they have a safety who can do it all, a true game changer, a player who can elevate the whole defense and turn close games into decisive victories. And guys, let's not forget the historical context. The Packers have always been a franchise that values strong defense, especially in the secondary. From the days of Woodson to the recent seasons of Jair Alexander and Darnell Savage, they've built their identity around lockdown coverage and opportunistic plays. Adding Derwin James would be the next step in that evolution, bringing a level of playmaking that the franchise has always aspired to have. It'd be a statement about their commitment to winning now and in the future, a move that could put them in the conversation as one of the top defenses in the league. In conclusion, if this trade materializes, it's not just about acquiring a great player. It's about transforming the entire team's identity. It's about setting a tone that the Green Bay Packers are back to being a force to be reckoned with, especially on defense. It's about taking that next step toward a Super Bowl, and with Derwin James in the fold, that step becomes much more attainable. The Chargers might have their reasons for rebuilding, but for the Packers, this could be the piece that pushes them over the top. So fans, keep your eyes peeled and your fingers crossed, because if this deal goes down, it's going to be one of the most exciting developments of the NFL season. And trust me, you'll want to be part of this journey. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUBE algorithm to keep recommending the latest Green Bay Packers news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Green Bay Packers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential move? Do you believe Derwin James could be the missing piece that finally pushes this team to the Super Bowl? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Packers, and I promise I'll be back soon with more updates, more insights, and everything you need to stay ahead of the game in the NFL. Thanks for sticking with me, and as always, Geo Pack Geo.